Oh boy, we are in for quite the treat today, folks. Two Pixar characters that I have been wanting to cover on this channel for years. Mike Wazowski and James P. Sullivan, better known by us fans as Mike and Sulley. They may scare young human kids as a day job, but like Duck, there's more to them that meets the eye. Probably even more so than Duck, to be honest with you. I honestly kind of feel guilty that I didn't cover them in last year's iteration, because I could have just crammed McQueen and Mater into one video and had these two after the Toy Story trio, but I didn't. But hey, at least I get to cover them for this year's iteration. Better late than never, am I right? Buckle up and get your Screamcasters out, people, as we are about to enter the monstrous world and cover our favorite monstrous duo. Let's begin. Mike is typically funny, smart, brave, but can sometimes fail to see the obvious in a situation. He has a very strategic mind and is a thinker by nature, arriving at conclusions very fast. He is also kind and has very smooth conversations with his girlfriend, Celia. Additionally, he is sarcastic and charismatic. Mike is also skilled with words. He has been shown multiple times to come up with witty comebacks to Randall and anyone who gets on his nerves, but can falter if asked a question under pressure. Mike is also shown to have a positive outlook in situations that seem disappointing by not acting disappointed, but rather happy it happened. This is especially noble when an image of him is covered in some form of media, such as television, magazine covers, and school ID cards. An example of this is when he saw that his picture on the magazine cover was blocked by a barcode. His reaction seemed sad at first, but he turned out to be happy he appeared in the cover regardless. Sulley is portrayed as good-natured, hard-working, gentle, and confident, who loved his job as a scarer, and while he basked in the limelight of being top scarer and was indeed going for the all-time scare record, he had a humble side in that he was more interested in being a good employee for the company. This was most likely due to him having worked his way up through the ranks of the company from mailman to janitor to cafeteria work to can wrangler and finally to scarer. One of the defining traits of his character was his friendship with Mike. They're best friends, roommates, incredibly devoted to each other, and help each other out. As Sulley secured a reservation for Mike at Harry Hossen's for his date with Celia on a special birthday, and good for him in a paperwork concern. By all his actions, Sulley proves himself to be a well-meaning person who strives to do the right thing. He was shown to be observant and keen-minded to Boo's laughs, supercharging electronics in ways Screams had never done, although Sulley appears to be a little trusting in some cases, and he has a strong moral compass. Even so, Sulley has a powerful devotion to those he cares for, risking his job, his life, and even his friendship with Mike to save Boo. And while he has his ups and downs with Mike, they are true and loyal friends to each other, despite their differences. Now, in terms of the duo's voice actors, well, we have quite a few. Mainly video game VAs though, but like with other characters we've covered in the series so far, we will be covering those. For Mike's main VA, we have the legendary Billy Crystal, who voices him in the movies, Monsters at Work, and the two shorts. And he is easily my preferred VA for Mike. He absolutely nails the role as the one-eyed monster himself, and it really helps that he brings some sort of comedicness to the guy. He especially shines in the prequel, where Mike is the main character of that film. And for Sulley's VA, we have John Goodman. Like Billy Crystal as Mike, Goodman absolutely pulls off the more gruff and tough personality that Sulley has going for him. He really goes all out in terms of Sulley's performance in both movies. And from the Monsters at Work clips I've seen, it's shocking that he still gives his best as him despite his age. It's like Michelangelo's giving his best in the god-awful Nitrogen era. I promise you that'll be the last time I'll be bringing it up, and I'm never talking about it again. And both Crystal and Goodman bounce off of each other so incredibly well. Two amazing picks for our favorite monster duo. Mike and Sulley's shining moment across the whole franchise may come as a bit of a surprise to a lot of you. And that's one scene from Monsters University. Yeah, shocking, I know. And it's the scene where they scheme up a plan to get back into the monster world after Mike tried to prove he is scary, only for him to see sense that he isn't. This scene is played off so brilliantly. The dark lighting and the people's flashlights make it all the more suspenseful. Makes this feel like Silent Hill rather than a Pixar film, being honest. I mean, that's just how brilliant the animation in MU really is. And that moment when Sulley scares the people is so satisfying to watch unfold. The way how the lights flash onto Sulley, the people running away as he scares them, and even what happens in the Monster World's lavatory is brilliant. Remember that one bit where Hardscrabble's canister went flying all over the place earlier in the film? Well, the same happens here, except it is madness. And I love it. And it all comes to a brilliant and rather impactful close as Mike and Sulley burst out the door just in time as it explodes. Easily their best moment in the series by a long shot. At least in my opinion it is. And in terms of their worst moments, well, there isn't really any at all. Not even in their rivalry scenes in university, as that's a ton of fun to see unfold. So, another easy smooth sail for the monster duo. Mike and Sulley are another one of the most iconic Disney duos out there. Their rivalry in Monsters University is fun to watch, like I said, and their friendship is just as fun to see, even from the clips of Monsters at Work I've watched. While they aren't my favorite Disney characters per se, let alone favorite Disney duo, I still think they are a close second or third when it comes to duos. But let's be real here. You guys all know what my favorite Disney characters are if you've seen my past videos, even if I've been going a bit too crazy with them. But regardless, Mike and Sulley are still amazing characters, and definitely deserve their place in this year's series. And that wraps up another Character Highlight Reel Part 2 episode. I have to say, talking about Mike and Sulley was a blast. Just as much as when I covered some of the previous Disney and Pixar characters. And, well, let's just say you won't be hearing the last of the Disney and Pixar characters on the channel. For tomorrow's installment though, this one is gonna be hella interesting, as we'll be covering Owen Tip from Home. A rather overlooked DreamWorks movie, which I could understand, but I'll be giving these two the spotlight in tomorrow's video. And hell, it'll be the penultimate episode of this year's series. But if you guys want to stay tuned for that, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date and to not miss out on the newest content. Until next time, bye guys.
One more time! And one!
Don't have to say it,
Where'd everybody come from?
all we both know it's true.
Let's take it home, big guy!
I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have. I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have. I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you.
You! You! A-E-I-O. That means you.